2016 has been a mixed bag when it comes to the commentary community. Although we've had the return of old commentators and new commentators that managed to make it big in the same year they started, we also witnessed a lot of experienced commentators shitting the bed royally, and several failed attempts at making group commentary channels like Bop. So to close out the year, I'm going to put 10 of the worst commentaries my host has witnessed on the chopping block and rip them to shreds. And because I'm nothing more than a personified memory, and this dimension can be unstable at points, my avatar will be constantly changing throughout the list. Anyways, I won't be judging these choices on just points alone, because that would get repetitive after only a few entries. Instead, I will judge each of these entries on points, editing, delivery, chemistry in the event of a co-op/group commentary, etc. So with all that said, let's start shopping! Number 10! Kick off this list is a commentary that put a red-headed webcam girl on the map for a lot of people. While I did enjoy Master TP10's commentary on Chaos Key, I was also excited to see Ms. Doodle's response at first, because I had hope that someone might be able to do a good commentary on him for once. But when I saw the video, I was greeted with abysmal editing, taking jokes seriously, not bringing things to the table during some of her interjections, and terrible points. Hell, one of the recurring issues I had with this video was that she spent a bunch of interjections taking TP's jokes seriously, and are not understanding that it was meant to be a joke. But with all that said, there's a good reason why it's at the bottom of this list. Despite my issues with this video, Doodles did improve after this. Like, a lot. The points got tired of in later commentaries, her editing greatly improved, and she brought something new to the table when it came to commentaries on overdone topics. So good job, Ms. Doodles. Despite this screw-up in early 2016, you bounced back and got even better. Too bad the other 9 don't share the same fate. Number 9! So what do you get when you combine a year-old video with a commentator who tries to argue subjectivity with her own subjectivity and no facts to back them up? You get Gale Force's commentary on Tricky Wee. Dear lord, this was a train wreck to sit through. Actually, I took that back. Someone who survived and got brain damage from the train wreck could probably formulate a better argument than this bitch could, because oh boy, her arguments in this video are bad. For example, she tries to debunk a lot of Tricky's entries on what she personally thinks is scary by using a fan theory, aka something that isn't confirmed let alone potentially true, multiple times in the commentary. That would be like me doing a commentary on the greatest video game heroes list where they put Phoenix Wright from the first game on the list, and my response to the entry being that he's a villain because Mudpad said so. Sounds pretty super now, doesn't it? Another example of these poor points Gale presented is during the Cophagragus segment, where Tricky brings up the mummification process, and Gale points out that it only happens to the dead in the real world, and also uses the mummy ability to argue that it's not mummification. Ignoring the fact that live mummification exists, which makes a point about Tricky doing some research laughable in hindsight since she didn't do any, the Pokédex entry, which Tricky's list is about, never mentions the ability mummy. In fact, the ability and the Dex entry are completely different, since mummy is basically like spreading something to another Pokemon and not actually mummifying Pokemon. I could go on, but then it would be its own commentary and not an entry. Editing wise, it's a tiny bit better than Doodle Tones, at least Gale added a background and can show images and shit, though it's not helped by the use of 2 media clips that go on for far longer than it needs to be and really needed to be trimmed. The biggest problem with this commentary, however, outside of my previous points and the fact that she tries to debunk the fear of the unknown by using real-life equivalents, is that she tries to shove her own subjective opinion on what should be on the list down people's throats. This is not your list, Gale, this is Tricky's, and this becomes a recurring problem throughout, as shown when she bitches about Scyther and Darkrai not being on the list. Subjectivity does not come to subjectivity, especially in this situation, and this video serves no purpose to exist. Next! Number 8. Speaking of experienced commentators shitting the bed, next up we have Scarlet Otaku's co-op commentary with Stammer and Stars and Codicarus's unpopular gaming opinions list. And since it's a co-op, naturally the chemistry between the individuals is important, alongside, you know, being entertaining and making good points. Too bad the chemistry here is so poor, it's like using 2 antivirus programs at the same time. Seriously, the two hardly interact in the main video, outside of the opening and ending skit, and even then, the interactions feel forced and weak sauce in comparison to other co-op commentaries they've done. Entertainment-wise, I see getting beaten brought more entertainment than these two did in their entire commentary. In terms of editing, it's just like the Seal. Messy and terrible. Like this.
Thank you.
Or even this.
Okay, shut up, I hear you.
Hell, the editing was so bad the chicks like made a run for it while there was still time. Scarlet, you've been doing this for years. There is no excuse for this poor editing. Hell, even your intro is shit. Hey guys, let me just start a clip from an episode and then put in a flash transition. That's an intro, right? This isn't lazy at all. But speaking of lazy, these two clearly demonstrate a lack of research in this commentary. What do I mean? Well, how about when Cardi talks about how he thinks Dead Space 1 was the only good one out of the trilogy when it comes to a sci-fi action horror game, and Scarlett's response is that she doesn't think Cardi's opinion is unpopular, despite the fact that a lot of people preferred the second game over the first one when asked which of the three was the best, and even critics, which many people still regard as the popular opinion, said they thought the second game was the best of the three. Granted, not when it comes to horror, but still, point still stands. In other words, the popular opinion would be that the later games were better than the first game. Hell, they even admitted it was cherry picking, yet they kept it in the video anyways. GG. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to points I could lodge at this video. But I think you get the idea by now. Just care up as shit, and just like your avatar, Scarlett, I'll be burning you at the stake. Next. Number 7. So what's worse than shitty chemistry and shitty points? I had a guy doing a piss poor job of commentaries on real life issues that legitimately made me want to reach through my screen and strangle him because of his points. And of course, speaking of Super Funny Bros commentary on libertarian socialist rants. Now, having shitty points in a commentary on, say, a top 10 games list is one thing, but when you are trying to argue points based around facts or events in the real world and you mess up horribly, you aren't getting any leeway from anyone worth their salt. For example, when the video SFB is commentating on brings up a girl getting catcalled and or compliments from strangers on the streets, his solution to the problem is to tell the girl to simply take a different route. Ignoring the fact that this shouldn't be happening in the first place, this point can easily be countered with the following questions. What if that's the only route this lady can take? What if it's the shortest route to her destination? Or my favourite, what if the other routes were even worse than the route she was taking in the video? Another example of this man's terrible points is when he tries to argue that comments about someone's appearance by strangers isn't a problem because they said they were beautiful. Because yeah, we shouldn't feel creeped out or complain about comments made by strangers if they're complimenting us. Tom, there's a reason why consent for these kind of compliments are important in this situation. Because we don't know them, we don't know their intentions, so why should we be okay with these kind of compliments from strangers? When we get compliments from people we do give consent to, we usually feel good about it because it comes from people we trust. We know their intentions most of the time. No, it's not always perfect, some people do abuse that trust, but there's a reason why consent is a major thing when it comes to compliments, and why this can definitely be a problem when a stranger does it to you on the streets or in a public outing. What doesn't help this video is that Tom clearly shows that he is not taking the subject matter of street harassment seriously, as shown by his smug attitude during the bit where he suggests taking a different route, and saying shit like victim blaming is just a buzzword. Again, this is a commentary on real life problems, not your precious video game. You should at least try to give the littlest of a shit about it. Oh, and don't even get me started on his miserable attempt at apologizing in one of his recent videos. I swear, Dr. Wiley was more authentic with his apologies than you were, Tom. In fact, if it wasn't for the other criteria I mentioned in my intro, this easily would have been number 1. But I'm a stickler for the criteria I set, so we get to the number 7 spot instead. So sorry, Mario, but your credibility is in another castle. Next! Number 6. The fact that this video was deleted, but archived thanks to a third party, it's a good enough sign that this video is shit. But at the end of the day, Mad Plushies, or Mad Ginger as he's now called, response to For No Good Reasons How Not to Bernie 13 was so piss poor on a bunch of fronts that I decided to put it on the list anyways. Let's start with the length. The FNGR segment that Mad Plushie responds to was around 9 to 10 minutes long. Mad Plushie's video on this segment was 30 minutes long. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if he was entertaining or brought up interesting counters to FNGR's points, but he doesn't, on either front. Let's start with entertainment, since that takes up less time. Your voice was goddamn grating on the ears at points.
Think about it. Without Lily Pete, FNGR would have a lot less content.
Yeah, I think my ears are beginning to bleed. As for his points, this man clearly didn't bother to do any research on the topic before he even made this response. How do I know this? Well, one of the arguments towards the video is that Mrs. Bliss should have asked for permission to use Lily's OC.
It's common courtesy to ask someone before using their stuff.
When she clearly did. So what else is wrong with this video, aside from his shitty delivery and points? Well, how about repeating points over and over again, leaving in shit that could have easily been edited out? Stumbling over his words, using only one picture of your avatar throughout the whole video, and not bringing anything to the table. This is like that one guy in our school, desperate for attention, so he tries to do everything in his power to piss people off in order to get it. And you got it. You most certainly got it. Enjoy your 15 minutes of fame, Mad Ginger, because once it's gone, you'll be nothing more than a fart in the wind. Which, now that I think about it, sounds much more entertaining than watching this shit. Next. Number 5. To say the metaphor to 7 the second is an overdone subject is like saying the sky is blue. Not only is he overdone, but the man has shown numerous times that he won't listen to criticism. But despite the futility, people still made commentaries on him in 2016, and one of them was Flamer Unity's commentary on Meta's least favorite video game villains list. Now yes, the video was deleted, but it still doesn't negate how shitty this commentary was to watch. A shitty webcam that makes the PlayStation Auto look good, a poorly rendered intro that looks like it was made for the Sega CD, abysmal delivery of your words of scripting if the script was in fact used, a shitload of audio slip-ups and stutters that were left in, abysmal presentation. Seriously, look into the camera if you're gonna do this with a webcam. Trying to shove your own subjective opinion down people's throats when you threw in what you define as a villain, which is irrelevant in a commentary like this. And of course, shitty points. Examples include, but are not limited to, trying to use the definition of a villain to counter what Meta defines as a villain throughout most of the list, arguing that Lyric from Sonic Boom shouldn't be on the list because it came from a spin-off, etc. This was a commentary on Meta. Despite how overdone he is, he's also an easy topic. It should not be hard to screw up a commentary on this guy, and yet, here we are. A shitty commentary on a shitty user who not only won't listen, but is also overdone by this point. Next. Number 4. Scarlett's video made me want to burn her at the stake. The Namakagamine, or Morgan's video, makes me want to burn her at the stake and let wolves piss on the ashes. Folks, this video was anger-reducing and bad. So what made it worse than, say, Tom's video? Let me list the ways, starting with the infamous intro that a lot of people in this community dissected to pieces, like a forensics expert on a big-name murder case. We have no context to the drama Morgan mentions in the intro, you know, cause it's not like that's important or anything. We have shitty chemistry between Morgan and Death Critic, and shitty chemistry between the other cameos in this video, a friggin' plot hole in the form of a watch that transforms the user into the avatar they used last, as explained in Nagai34's commentary.
Why'd you guys turn me into Marco?
Well, it was the last avatar they used in the commentary, and that's just how the watch is programmed.
But here in Morgan's commentary, it just randomly chooses an avatar that she didn't use last.
Well, for one, we fixed you and gave you the same watch we gave to Ernie a while ago. And two, you really haven't used her for like, what, since October?
I'm sorry. What? How did you screw that up? But frankly, the worst part of this intro skit, and the part where I lost my shit, was the goddamn acting. Look, I'm not expecting thespian levels of acting, but for God's sakes, you barely even tried in this segment. To set up some context here, Morgan was trying to kill herself because of vaguely explained drama. Death Critic comes in, delivers a woman performance.
Whoa, Morgan?
Morgan tells Death that she's going to kill herself, and her acting in this scene is the goddamn same as her regular tone.
You know what? It's the best if I don't exist anymore. You'll see who it is later on. Also, here's the degrees. Onto the commentary.
Speaking from personal experience, and by that I mean my host memories, when he was suicidal, he was sad. Apathetic about everything. He just didn't care anymore. So odds are, when delivering lines for someone like that in a fictional setting, you'd probably have a sad or monotone and or uncaring voice. But that's not the case here. Her tone is about the same as her regular tone, and that really pissed me off. It showed me that you did not give a shit about what you were doing here. Hell, to further prove this point, look at the delivery of A363MTR's cameo after Morgan shoots herself.
What happened to Morgan?
What happened to Morgan? I should probably act shocked or surprised about my friend killing themselves, but nah, I'll deliver it in the same tone as I always do.
What happened to Morgan? And that's just how the watch is programmed.
I am such a great friend. I could go on, but you get the point. This acting is shit, and you should feel like shit for screwing up this concept big time. And that's just the intro segment, folks. The actual commentary itself is full of mediocre editing, terrible points, shitty wording, and padding out the video with useless shit that is neither informative nor entertaining. The intro was shit, the commentary was shit, the delivery was shit, this entire video is shit, and no pity party will save you from being on this list. Next. Number 3. Despite my pitch issues in my last commentary, I still stand by my opinion that Manga Comics co-op commentary on Dobbs was one of the worst co-op commentaries I've seen all year that wasn't from a group commentary channel. Hell, this co-op was going to be a disaster the minute it was even pitched. Why? Well, as I found out from Common in the comment section of my head video, he pitched the co-op to her one day after adding her on Skype and talking to her for the first time. That would be like some random guy proposing to a chick he met for the first time the day before. Disaster is going to strike, folks, and that is exactly what happened here. With abysmal video and audio editing that makes the Manny Presents look good in comparison,
Gay next. And gay next.
lack of chemistry between the two individuals, weak entertainment value throughout the entire video, arguments that don't debunk any points Dolph and Tricky we present, and of course, abysmal points. I already mentioned a few of them in my previous commentary, so I won't repeat a lot of them here. but here's a couple of examples. When Dobbs was discussing Nidaking's horn drill / X accuracy combo in red, blue, and yellow, Gale's counter-argument to this is that it wouldn't work in Pokemon Stadium, when he wasn't even referring to that spin-off in the first place. Another example, and one that I completely missed in my original commentary, was when Dobbs was complaining about the Little Cup Cypher in Stadium 2 being very challenging when using rental Pokemon, and Gale's counter-argument is to use your own team instead. Yeah, funny thing about that, Gale. What if the player can't afford a transfer pack? What if the player doesn't own a copy of the original games? What if this is the only way they can play Stadium 2? The point I'm getting at is simply telling them to use their own team does not negate the fact that Cypher could still be seen as a problem in Stadium 2's Little Cup when using rental Pokemon. So thanks for not debunking his point, Gale Force. You brought so much to the table here. For God's sakes, this is a commentary on Dobbs / Tricky Wee, two of the easiest big-name Poketubers to do a video on outside of Tamashi, and you still managed to screw it up. I could go on, but I will be repeating what I said in my last commentary, so let's just send these two back to Commentary Kindergarten and move on to the final two entries. Number 2. After 2 abysmal commentaries, Joe Wilson decided to take his third swing into the world of commentaries by going after STDS 17-1993's video on psycho women in video games. The bottom of the 9th. Bases loaded. He can either go big or go home. The ball is thrown. He swings. And not only fails to hit the ball, but the bat goes flying, hits the pitcher so hard that his helmet goes flying, and knocks out the entire team. Folks, this commentary is so bad, not even the resolution could withstand it. And even if you ignore the abysmal video quality that makes FMVs from the Sega CD look good, you are hit with a constant barrage of abysmal points that either don't counter STDS's points,
That may look like a big wested 16 nose.
Do we have to repeat the clip of Yoda?
But behind those bazongas,
put words in STDS's mouth,
psycho women in gaming.
Yeah, because you know what's absolutely terrifying? Not knowing things? Nah. Everything turning out being really pointless, including us? Nope. The Uncanny Valley? Pfft. A world so totalitarian and crappy that killing yourself would be nasty by option? Of course not.
Women are absolutely terrifying, obviously.
assuming shit that didn't actually happen in the original video.
And I just made this segment uncomfortable for everyone, so let's go to the next segment.
Hey, at least you admit you're a perverted creep.
Debunking his own points that he presented earlier.
Women are absolutely terrifying, obviously.
A few moments later.
By this I mean women who are, well, not right in the head.
No shit, Sherlock.
Etc, etc, etc. But wait, there's more. We have abysmal audio editing in the form of long pauses.
Although I've never played a No More Heroes game in my life.
Stutters, random audio specs that could have easily been fixed, abysmal use of media clips, extremely poor delivery of your lines, abysmal wording at several points in the video. I could go on, but I think you get the point. I'm aware your description explains that you don't care about the editing since according to you, no one comes for that kind of shit, but even when listening to this in the background, your poor delivery and points was still a big problem throughout the commentary. So even if you want to argue that your commentaries are made for points and not entertainment, you still failed miserably here. What makes this worse than the last entry is that while Manga and Gale didn't bring much to the table, at least they didn't put words into the target's mouth, and they did give the tiniest of a show in making the commentary. You didn't even have that going for you. Maybe in 2017 you'll improve, but for now, the only positive I can give this video is that it's gonna get a short death via firing squad. Next. Number 1. The previous 2 commentaries contain my least favorite commentary of the year and my least favorite solo commentary of the year. For this final entry, we have a group commentary. And as tempting as it is for me to drag this part out, this video is already long enough as it is, so let's just cut to the chase. Number 1 on this list is the Syndicate of Outcaster Commentators commentary on Roaring Thunder Pursuit. Oh my lord, this one was a doozy to sit through. This group commentary exemplifies everything I complained about in the other entries. To the editing,
purpose of anonymity,
points that don't bring out anything to the table, and also assuming shit about the video that didn't freaking happen,
Blazing rants and commentaries.
Why'd you say? I couldn't hear you over your music there for a second.
abysmal acting for everyone involved,
a video by RTP,
chemistry that makes Mon Common and Gale Force's chemistry look amazing, freaking check. I could easily end the video with just that, but this video manages to not only make those mistakes I mentioned, but also manages to create whole new problems not seen in previous entries. One of them being the fact that this was released several months after the drama had ended, and all parties involved went their separate ways. Hell, another new problem presented with the shitty writing for this commentary. So you recall the bit where I bitched about the chemistry? Well, a large reason for that is because Slothboy and his partners wanted everyone to speak during every interjection, even if they weren't needed. This is not how you write chemistry, folks. Not even close. Behind these 2 examples, as well as plenty of other issues I won't mention due to time, and the issues that were also seen in the other entries, and you have a recipe for what I define as the worst commentary of 2016. So with the year coming to a close, and as the next year quickly approaches, I hope that these individuals mentioned on the list will make a big turnaround come 2017. And if they don't, well, assuming I don't get turned back to a memory by my host, this will make constructing the 2017 list a whole lot easier for me. With that said, I will bid you all adieu.